Hello, 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 and welcome to the Texas Live podcast. Tonight we will be we're going to have a fascinating show for all you night owls and insomniacs like myself. We're going to have updates and update on feedback and recent developments as far as our shows about Rh negative blood. Seem to have got the attention of many people, including some not so maybe the powers that be. I'm not sure, but I will explain what's going on, and we'll also talk about a galactic portal that should be opening about right now, and I will give you the details on that. And my question is if that is in fact taking place, and there is a portal that is big, powerful, that is in fact opening from another dimension. You know, that's what portals are. Could it be the arrival of the super advanced, ultra intelligent entities that Dr. Geordie Rose talked about, that were coming into our dimension like a swarm? He said 2 years ago that they were on their way. Could this be when they arrive? Who knows? I believe it very well could be. Not that it is, but there's a chance it could be. And we will get into that. So, I encourage you to take part in our live chat, and going to take a quick break and allow listeners who would like to take part in our live chat to do so. Also, you can call the show line at 903-956-0055 and welcome your comments, questions, and personal experiences. So, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in 3 minutes.
Knew from the first time I saw ya, you were not like the others. A cool kind of melody. You rattled my cage without warning, kept it up right till the morning. A new kind of ecstasy. You found a different side of me, the one I'd like to be. A different side of me, yeah. You found a different side of me, like someone pretty neat. A different side of me, yeah. No stop signs, counting down till we take flight. It's how you make me feel. Yeah. Let's call in sick and be lazy. I'm all for doing what's crazy, 'cause you make it real, yeah. You found a different side of me, the one I'd like to be. A different side of me, yeah. Like someone pretty neat. A different side of me, yeah. changing me. Day by day got me shedding skin. The layers are peeled away. Got me moving through time and space. Your magic can't be erased. Can't be erased. You'll find a different side of me, the one I'd like to be. A different side of me, yeah, yeah. You'll find a different side of me, like someone pretty neat. A different side of me, yeah, yeah. The one I'd like to be, a different side of me, yeah.
And I'm back. Okay. Well, we have the shows. Hello, Tina. Hello, Randy. Glad you're here. Oh, that is loud. Turn my volume down, but certainly not my excitement down. Hey, Zippy. Glad you're here. Wow, that is really loud tonight. Some reason. Yes, the shows that I did on the Rh negative blood type, the mystery of Rh negative blood, its unknown origins, has definitely received a lot of attention, and some of it seems to be from the powers that be, indirectly. There's a woman who reached out or made comments on one of my social media pages, and very, very nice, intelligent. Hey, baby. And she really knows her stuff too. And I told her, I said, we need to talk. I would really like to talk to you. And so I gave her the Texas podcast email, and she tried to email me, and she said when she did, all she got was a security alert warning. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that like she said, obviously someone doesn't want us talking. Well, I doubt it's just someone. It's probably a lot more than one, but it's all coming from the same source. This could be the powers that be that contacted me a little over 10 years ago. And if so, and they're probably listening now, so if that's the case, I just want to give you credit for keeping your word. I would have been disappointed if you hadn't. So, they told me before our conversation ended, before they hung up, we'll be seeing you in the future. And for some reason I said, I know. Well, here we are, a little over 10 years later, and it seems like that they're back in, obviously monitoring me. They're blocking people contacting me. Now, one thing that Elaine said, she says, I'm going to see if I can contact you, see if I run into the same problem. I said, well, you won't. I said, because if they're monitoring me, then they're monitoring you. They're monitoring Mona because, and they're not going to throw up a warning to them or to, anybody that's close to me or that I talk to or that I chat with, because they know that they would tip me off and that I would know. So thank God for the woman in Australia who was so kind enough and brave enough to tell me, hey, I had to back off because I got a security alert warning, basically not to contact you. And so now I know. Okay, and that Dot Marison, welcome. Now, I've been talking about this this lady, and I don't even know her name. So, Dot, is this you from Australia that received the security alert warning? And there's lag time here, so we'll just wait. But if so, Dot, if it was you that received that that saw that security alert, maybe you could just type what you saw or whatever. Not that you have to, but just giving you that option. Just feel free to ask, speak, comment on anything that you want. You're among friends here, and there's don't. No one here needs to worry about sounding crazy, because I'm the craziest one of all of us. But yes, they for Dot, and for those listening who may not know, I was contacted about 10.5 years ago by an agency that had no name. They said that they were basically above having a name, and I asked them if they were a government agency, and they said, well, think less in terms of of government or of countries. Think more in terms of globally. Okay, well, I get that. And so I went through this, spiel, and I was looking up, of all things, portals. Portals, natural places on Earth. Well, maybe not so natural, but places on Earth where it has been said that there is a high level of electromagnetic energy combined with gravity that forms a portal when a person who is spiritually advanced can develop their consciousness to a point to where it works just like a computer, like computer software interacts with the hardware. And this is going to sound crazy, but it's where they can, these portals are space-time portals, time travel. And that's what got me in trouble. That's what put me on the radar. And special agent said, my computer goes black, and my cell phone rings, and he had a very strong German accent. "We know what you're doing." I said, "Oh, haha, this is funny. This is a joke, right?" "No, we are not joking." And there was just something about his, about his tone, his clarity of speech, the way he spoke. Kind of like that, that syndrome where you're like, I'm really hoping this is a joke, but if it's not, this is really going to suck. This is really going to ruin a good evening, And it was no joke. Basically, he told me that they had been monitoring me for a very long time. And when he says a very long time, what now, Tina? You said, "Holy moly, I didn't know this about you." Well, I'm not going to spill all the beans, not all at one time. Anyway, he said, "We've been monitoring you a very long time." And I remember when I was like in first grade that they put me in this gifted program, like genius program or something, some kind of, false front, that'd be good for your kid, he shows, genius potential and everything, and we can help him and, expand, and, well, it's a front, and that's how they monitor people, but when they would come to our house, they would always be two, almost like Men in Black, but they wore brown suits. I don't know who Corey Good is, Tina. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about him, and but what it was it's called the Magnet Program, and it was through the public schools. But what was strange about it is these two men would come every week, and they would bring me coloring books to color, and these weren't normal coloring books. These were yes, Dot, you say, "I was tested at school but never showed any special gifts. I wonder if other RH negs were also tested." It wouldn't surprise me. But now I'm really I'm gonna share a lot of personal things tonight that I haven't shared before. It's just everything seems to just keep pointing, and it's like poking, and like tap me on the shoulder saying, "Hey, you need to oh, okay, yeah, this is synchronicity at work. This is it's letting you know that the spiritual, the true spiritual power, the source, the creator, God, whatever you want to call it, him, whatever, it's like they're saying, yeah, I think this one that was named Shane, you usually have to hit him with a 2x4, to get his attention, really get so, hopefully in 50 years I can avoid that 2x4 and but we'll see. But anyway, it has been said that many Rh negative people are born with an extra vertebrae, which causes spinal compression, back pain, like that. Well, lo and behold, I was born with an extra vertebrae or two. I was born with a tail. It's called a caudal appendage, and it's not extremely rare. It is rare, and doctors, for the longest time, they just remove it, and they never say anything to the parents. Used to, but got changed. And in countries like China, Japan, China. I'm not so sure about Japan, but I know China used to be that if a child was born with a tail, they were called. They were seen as dragons, as being powerful, Pendragon, and so that's one thing, okay. And then you take the dragon, in China, it's a sign of prosperity, sign of power. In other cultures, it's not so much a positive thing. And then in some countries, some cultures, a child born with a tail, they're killed because they're deemed to be evil. So that's one thing. I suffer from astigmatism, and it has been discovered that people who have Rh negative blood suffer from astigmatism, which is the eyeball or eyeballs, they're not formed correctly, so it causes vision problems. And I have astigmatism in my right eye, and have to have special contact for that eye because it's not it's not the normal shape. Okay, and then I have all the other higher body temperature or lower body temperature, higher blood pressure. Okay, Randy, no problem. But have the green eyes, which roughly 1% of the population has green eyes. That's 7 billion people, 1%. I have the red hair gene. I have bright red hair in my beard, and some in my hair. Less than 1% of the population has that. And I'm Rh negative, so anyway, that's it is. It's just one thing after another. I have always been very spiritual, never religious. I don't like religion. Matter of fact, I despise religion. I guess, I don't guess, I'm just going to say it. I'm a rebel. I'm a revolutionary. I don't believe in men. I don't believe in people ruling over other people as far as what they can believe, as far as absolute truth. proclaiming absolute truth and forcing it on people. I see that as a form of control. I see that as a form of manipulation, which is the definition of negative magic, witchcraft, black magic, whatever you want to call it. All it is spiritual manipulation. If you want to call it guilt trips, if you want to call it, tearing down a person's self-esteem, causing them problems, or whatever, it's at its core, it is manipulation. Now, why would someone manipulate you? Well, they want to take your power away from you, or they never want you to realize the power that you have. And that is an epidemic. So that's the reason why that some people are monitored and deemed dangerous. And now, I'm just going to make a disclaimer here. I don't expect you to believe what I say just because I say it. And if you don't, that's fine. It's not going to bother me one bit. But I'm just going to put it out there, and I want you to make up your own minds. Make up your own mind. You can either accept it or you can reject it, but I certainly am not asking you to even believe me just because I'm saying it. I'm just saying, just hear me out, and But let's see, in 2015, I had 2 online friends that were hackers. They were good. I think they were like 18 or 19 years old. This was in 2015, and 2 hackers. And I didn't tell them anything about what had taken place with the supposed powers that be. Didn't say anything. And of course, being young men, they were wanting to impress me, and well, they did impress me, all right. They're like, okay, would you like for us to look up, hold on just one second, would you like for us to look up your name and see if you're listed anywhere as on a list or whatever? Yeah, sure. That's fine. I mean, whatever you want to do. And these were 2 different individuals, and but they did not know each other, and this happened 2015, and the other one that I met and got to be friends with, he did a check or hacked in somewhere, and that was of his own doing. I didn't ask him to. I didn't tell him to do it. He did it on his own. And both of them came back and said, "Whoa, who are you?" Well, the first time it happened, I was like, "What's the big deal?" He says, "No, really." He says, who are you? And I said, I'm who I told you I was. You know, he says, you, and I'm not going to name names of any agency, group, or anything like that. But they said that, so my name was at the top of certain lists of potential, how do they put it? Potential, something like domestic terrorist. Extremely dangerous. Okay. The only problem with that is I have never been arrested in my life. I have, you know, I don't have a criminal past. I don't have a criminal record. So if that was the case, I don't have a history of violence. I mean, I never got in trouble at school, high school, any time at school. And so I really have a problem with understanding or, you know, how I can be somehow deemed extremely dangerous, like a threat to the it's like that movie with Gene, I forget his name, Will Smith and Gene, oh well, you know who I'm talking about, the movie Enemy of the State. Yeah, where, you know, people are monitored, and the only thing that I can think of is Zippy, you say any very early childhood issues, experiences. Yes, I had some experiences. This is, like I said, you can take this, or, you know, you can accept it, or you can reject it, you can think I'm crazy, but I would, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6 or 7, you know, up to 6 and 7, I thought, yes, salt, yes, I've seen it. I thought that everyone could do what I did. So I would talk about it, just like, you know, kids talk. And I didn't have any idea that, you know, everyone wasn't like me. Everyone couldn't, you know, they didn't have any idea what I was talking about. Like psychokinesis, and, you know, moving objects with your mind only. Now, that it's not something that happened every day. It's not like I floated from room to room. It's not like that, you know, I floated my lunch to me or anything like that. But it did happen, you know. And the one time that I remember it happening, and it was probably the last time that I ever did anything like that in public. I think I was about 7 years old, and that's when I realized just how dangerous it is to do that, even when you don't harm anyone else, and, you know, you're not bothering anyone else. Just that display of doing it draws tremendous attention to you. Most of it negative, by the way. And but there was a King Kong rubber toy. We were in a restaurant, and I had that toy sitting on the table in front of me, and my mom and her cousin, they were talking, and I'm looking at that toy. Of course, I'm bored, so I'm looking at that toy, and I'm focusing on it, and it comes up off the table about 6 inches, stops, slowly turns over, and goes back down gently on the table. And my mom's cousin she said, "Oh my God, did you just see that?" And my mom looked at me like, "Oh, why did you do that?" And that's when I realized, wow, not even, you can't do this in front of your own family, And so, yeah, you asked if there were early childhood issues, experiences. Yes. I've had people ask me, so where did you go to, training, or what college did you go to, or what seminary did you go to for your spiritual knowledge? And I'm like, I didn't go. Okay, well, what Bible school did you go to? I didn't. And they're like, well, I'm so-and-so, this, I'm so-and-so that. One man that, really stands out, he was director of evangelism, which was over a large part of the state of Texas for a very large denomination. And I talked to him in a church parking lot, large church parking lot, for like 8 hours into the wee early morning. And his wife kept calling, and he said, "I just cannot leave right now." He said, "There's a guy here," he said, I'm asking him questions that I've always wondered, and he said, and he's answering them. He says he's not avoiding them, and he says, and he's telling me the truth. He said, "I'm not going to leave," And so, yeah, we were in the parking lot for like 8 hours, and he said, I went to a seminary. He says, and all this training, everything. He says, I've got my doctorate. He said, and he said, yeah, he says, you never went, and he says, and you know more than I do. He says, how is that? And I just looked at him and I said, are you serious? And he says, what? I said, are you serious? I said, do you get up in that pulpit? When you get up in that pulpit, when you get in front of the huge congregation that looks to you, do you get in front of them and do you tell them that God, the source, the creator, whatever you want to call it, do you tell them that he still gives revelation today? That he still bestows knowledge and wisdom to people even today? And he says, yes. I said, but you tell them that, you teach that, but you yourself, you don't believe it. He put his head down and he said, you're right, I don't. I said, well, how can you truly teach something that you don't believe? And then he said, I can't. Why not? Well, it was too hard to say. And, I said, because you're lying to them. Plain and simple. You're lying to them. And he starts getting very emotional. And I said, but don't do that. That's why that this is happening. That's the outcome. That's the negative outcome that this world system wants, to bring him down. I said, just be honest with him. He says, well, what's the best thing I can do? I said, be honest with him. Tell him, hey, I've been standing up here lying to you for, the past 3 or 4 years that I've been your pastor. Been your spiritual leader. I've been teaching you things that I myself don't even believe. I said, truth is paramount. And so we talked about, spiritual power, spiritual authority. He was like, there's been several. I've just been really shocked that someone that has never had, proper, training or teaching at, a college or, seminary or whatever, could understand spiritual truths. But it's like I asked him, I said, well, does the Bible say that Jesus went to Harvard or Yale? Can you help me with that? No. It's pretty simple when you get, it's pretty simple when you get down to it. I mean, it's not rocket science. But we were talking about negative spiritual entities. I really don't like to use the word demon, but that's what we're talking about. And he says yes. He said there's a lot of he said there's a lot of demonic activity that's going on within a 10-mile radius of our church. He says very bad, and I said, well, so 10-mile radius. I said there's a lot of demonic activity taking place, and he says yes. I said, okay, did you do a poll? Did you have the demons like mail their vote in or whatever? This is my address. Hey Nazarene, this is where I hang out. I mean, this is my pad. It's like, well, if it was 10-mile radius, it'd be great. I mean, but it's more like coast to coast. From Texas to Canada. I mean, come on. And so he said that a woman called the church and that he answered the phone, and she said that her daughter was showing signs of demonic oppression severely, severe signs, and he said he could hear her in the background. Said it wasn't her, voice, and just very, very creepy. And I said, okay, what happened? And he said, well, she asked me to come and help her, and he said I wouldn't go. He said I'll let our deacons go, and they took care of it. And I said, why didn't you go? And he said I was afraid. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I said, but you're the pastor. You're leading these people. And he said, I know. He said, but I was afraid. He says, he said, I knew that when I walked in, he said that, I might get hurt. And I'm thinking, oh, phew. No, you really wouldn't get hurt. because you're not a threat to them. I mean, come on. You know, so someone calls you directly and you're going to tell them no? You're going to send somebody else? No. But I asked him why, and he said, I've just never believed in it. And I said, because you were too afraid to believe in it. Yes. So, well, that's understandable, I mean, yeah, it's creepy, it's scary. But you don't let fear overpower you to where you make no action at all. You don't take any action at all. And I told him, I said, and you're talking about that you didn't have the power. I said, you're right, you don't. I said, the power doesn't come from you. It comes from the source, from the Creator. Flows through you. You're a conduit. So, you choosing to not go in your power is a good thing. And I said, I would not, So, I have had them say, if you would just step out from behind that authority, if you'd step out and face me one-on-one, then, if you'd stop being such a wimp, and other words I won't use on air, then you would, be doing something. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not stepping out from behind the protection, the spiritual protection that I have with the Creator, Christ. I mean, with God. No way, because I mean, I know that I would be, that it would be, wouldn't be a battle at all. It would just be, I'd be crushed. So, but it is a pretty good tactic that they've used, and I'm sure they use with a lot of others. Well, if you'll just be a man, they play on that, that macho. If you'll just be a man, step out on your own. Be a man. Come on, do it. Face me one-on-one. It's like, no. So, lose the guys, I mean, if you find yourself in, a spiritual battle like that with like for one of your family members or your children or whatever, never take that bait. Just, never. You don't have anything to prove. Always stay in that protection. But let me read some of the quotes. Yeah, their ego, exactly, Randy. Randy say, I was going to stay if you don't believe in it. Oh, you was going to say, if you don't believe in it, why are you scared of it? Yeah, right, exactly. And ego, yes, that's a huge thing. Zippy say, interesting about children at very early ages taken into programs. Yes. And like I said, I was in first grade, and there were people that came, men that came in suits, and they gave us all tests. And there were some of us that you had to make a certain score. And most in the class didn't, but there were some of us that did, and we were the ones that were taken into the magnet program. Dot, you say many of us didn't understand what it was at the time, Zippy. But we also understood that other children from our class were not asked to participate. My youngest son experienced the same. Yes, absolutely. And also, one thing is that I, in middle school, there were a lot of teachers that really they dislike me. And I'm talking adult teachers that are like hating on a child. And I can't tell you how many times, or the amount of time that I've spent with my hand up. And you know what? I'm convinced when I enter a classroom, my arms are invisible. Like the teacher would be looking right through my hand up, you know, because they did not want to have me ask them a question, one more question that they couldn't answer. And I wasn't doing it on purpose. So by the time I got to high school, you know what? I didn't care about my grades anymore. I didn't care about if I passed the test or if I failed it. I really didn't care if I even took it. And well, I should say, whenever I went into high school, about the first 3 months, 3 or 4 months, they kept moving me up, you know. Went into, freshman year. They put me in pre-algebra. Well, learned that pretty quick. It was, they said it was too easy, so they need, so they moved me into algebra. Nope. Learned that. So it's algebra 2. And then trigonometry, and by the time I finally said no more, because they're just going to keep on and on, the more I do, the more they give me to do. And I was going home with homework out my ears, and I was just, why are they doing this? I can do it, but when I do it, what am I getting out of it? Nothing. They're torturing me. They're giving me more work to do. So one day I just made the choice to suddenly just be normal. The school counselor called me in, and he said, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he says, very, very sweet man, talked like Yoda. Oh, he's a great man. He says, "I believe you do, Shane. I believe you know what I'm talking about." He knew what I was doing. He knew I was tired of it. And I think that he even indirectly apologized to me for what they did. When it was my freshman year, when I went into high school, the guidance counselor asked my mom when he saw my transcripts, he said, would it be okay with you if we gave Shane the SAT that the seniors are taking upon leaving high school? And she said, "Yeah, that's fine." So, incoming freshman, I took the SAT with the seniors just so they could see what I would score. And like I said, just because you can do something and do it well doesn't mean you should. I scored higher than any senior there, and that's when everything came down on me. It's like boom. I mean, every teacher was just boom, 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 and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even think. And so I just played, yeah. Well, you know what? I can't do this. Well, you could do it last week. Well, this is a different week. And I guess I just forgot. So you know what? In remedial math. And I'm just as proud as can be. Truth is, what I learned when I got out of school, but I had to first unlearn what I had been, not what I had been, not the education that I was given. I had to unlearn the indoctrination that I was given. It's like they teach American history. They teach state history here in Texas. They teach Texas state history. Well, first thing that I'm doing when I'm reading the Texas history, I love Texas, by the way, but I'm just I'm reading that and I'm thinking, okay, so at the Alamo, everybody dies, right? All the Texans, they all die. So who was it that wrote about how it ended? About how bravely they fought and everything. It sure wasn't Santa Anna and his troops. And I'm thinking, they could have just made this up, just to build morale and to, rally the troops. And, and I'm not saying that those guys weren't brave. They were very brave. But I'm just saying, I was reading that and I'm like, but it could have ended differently and we would never know the difference. And so what I want to say is history's written by the victors. And if it's not written by the victors, then it's made up most of the time. Because there's no country, there's really no state that's going to say, yeah, they all surrendered and and were executed. I mean, it's just not a courageous, uplifting story. There's a lot of that goes on, and I'm not saying that happened at the Alamo. That was an example that I was using, although it was pretty shocking. And I believe it was like 2007 or something like that, where they found a big pit in the front of the front there, where the battle had taken place, and they think that that's where all of the bodies were burned and placed, and they said that their research and their studies basically proved that it didn't quite end the way that is depicted in the movies and in books and school books and things like that. And I'm thinking, yes, I was on the right track. Well, in school, I was probably the only one that knew about Nikola Tesla. And I'm reading about Thomas Edison. I'm like, yeah, but Tesla was the one that, he's the one responsible for your house having AC current instead of DC current. No, Thomas Edison is the genius, not Tesla. Objection, Your Honor. They don't like someone, especially a student, that's going to challenge them. And yes, absolutely, Tesla was the bomb. And just saying, I have always somehow connected with Tesla, even before I even knew who he really was. For some reason, Tesla was very spiritual. I'm very spiritual. Tesla was fascinated by the unknown. He was always searching for knowledge. Same here. And I think he slept like 4 hours a night. Hey, that's me. And Tesla, his blood type was O negative. That's mine. Although mine is RH negative, RH null, NULL, which means that it's RH negative, but people who have RH negative blood, they do have the D antigen. Okay? They do have the D antigen. People who are RH null, they don't have any antigens. And that's my blood type, RH null, which is RH negative or null for 0 antigens. And just real quick, I'm gonna look that up and check on that about because I remember the doctor saying that when he told me that his he told me that he said when they unsealed my second blood and genetic test, they all jerked their heads back, and the nurse gasped. She almost screamed. And I said, "Well, I said, what's wrong?" And he says, "Nothing." And I said, "No, something's wrong." I said, I looked at the nurse. I said, "I saw you jump back." I said, in gasp. I said, "What scared you?" And he says, "Well, you just have a very rare blood type." And I said, "How rare?" And he said, "Most rare." Well, let's see. I'm gonna read to you. Okay. Let's see. Well, there's a lot of news, recent news about the RH negative blood type. Let's see, I've got it. Well, this is okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to get the percentage. Okay. Kind of having some issues here, just a little bit, but okay. Okay, it is called the golden blood, and out of 7 billion people on Earth, fewer than 50 people have it. So, it's like, wow. We explore the history of blood types and how they are classified to find out what makes the Rh null type important to science and dangerous for those who live with it. That's what they told me. They said, and if you ever had to have a transfusion, you're really going to be in trouble. Well, why is that? Well, you can only receive your type of blood, and it's so rare. You're probably not. It says fewer than 50 people worldwide have golden blood or Rh null. Blood is considered Rh null if it lacks all of the 61 possible antigens in the Rh system. It is also very dangerous to live with this blood type, as so few people have it. Golden blood sounds like the latest in medical quackery, as in get a golden blood transfusion to balance your tantric mitochondrions or something like this. Said this is nothing about the New Age. It says golden blood is actually the nickname for Rh null, the world's rarest blood type. The type is so rare that only 43 people have been reported to have it worldwide, and until 1961, it was first identified in an Aboriginal Australian woman. Wow. Doctors assumed embryos with Rh null blood would simply die in utero. But what makes Rh null so rare, and why is it so dangerous to live with? To answer that, we first have to explore why hematologists classify blood types the way they do, and we won't go into that, but let's see, just a quick summary of it. Let's see. I'm just going through this real quick. Let's see. All right. All right. People who have O negative blood are considered universal donors, since their red blood cells lack A, B, and Rhd antigens. I was mistaken about that. Since their red blood cells lack A, B, and Rhd antigens, immune systems don't have a way to recognize these cells as foreign, and so leaves them well enough alone. How is Rh null the rarest blood type? Let's return to golden blood. In truth, the 8 common blood types are an oversimplification of how blood types actually work. As Smithsonian.com points out, each of these 8 types can be subdivided into many distinct varieties, resulting in millions of different types of blood types, each classified on a multitude of antigens combinations. Here's where things get tricky. The Rhd protein previously mentioned only refers to one of 61 potential proteins in the Rh system. Blood is considered Rh null if it lacks all of the 61 possible antigens in the Rh system. This not only makes it rare, but it also means that it can be accepted by anyone with a rare blood type within the Rh system. This is why it is considered golden blood. It is worth its weight in gold. As Mosaic reports, golden blood is incredibly important to medicine, but also very dangerous to live with. If a Rh null carrier needs a blood transfusion, they can find it difficult to locate a donor, and blood is notoriously difficult to transport internationally, which is what they told me. Yeah, yay, way to go. Says Rh null carriers are encouraged to donate blood as insurance for themselves,
But with so few donors spread out all over the world and limits on how often they can donate, this can also put a burden on those select few who agree to donate for others. And then it says here, let's see. Well, it just goes into the different foods that you should eat, and according to your blood type, which I don't know about that, but anyway, that's my blood type or whatever. So I believe that that was why possibly I was monitored from birth. I have no idea, but maybe the magnet program was just a way for them to check on me and monitor me in person each week. I have no idea, but it's I'm not sure if in 1968 when a baby was born at the hospital, if they automatically know what blood type the baby is, or if they do that in vitro. I have no idea, but that would explain a lot. Having, well, out of 7 billion people, I guess I would be number 44 or 43 people that are reported to have it. Well, I'm number 44, I guess. Wow. But with it being that rare, it would certainly catch the attention of the powers that be, I guess. But the question is why? Well, I've said that before, and I'll say it again. The Bible states the life is in the blood, and but is it talking about blood itself, or is it talking about something more? Is it talking about DNA? And I believe that's exactly what it's talking about, is the DNA, because it wasn't just my blood type that was extremely rare. My genetic makeup, my genetic results were even more rare than my blood type. And I guess looking back on it now, Dot, and since you've gone through this too, I guess looking back on it now, I guess I can kind of see where they would be a little bit freaked out about someone that has the golden blood, RH null, 43 people out of 7 billion, and you've got a guy that walks in and he's got it. But then he also has the anomalous or an anomalous genetic makeup that when they first looked at it, they said, sorry, Mr. Moore, you're going to have to be tested a second time. We're going to have to run your test a second time because this test has been compromised. Oh, how did that happen? Well, I'm not sure, but these results are just all over the place. Not sure what happened, but we'll take care of it. Well, second test and results, and I asked why that they reacted the way they did, and he just looked at me and he said, your results are the same. And he said, never experienced this before. He said, can I fax, this is back in 2003, he said, can I fax your test results to our mentor, an expert geneticist in Chicago? And I said, sure. He says, okay, I'll be back, 30 minutes or whatever. He comes back in and he says, well, he said, we, faxed your results to our mentor, expert geneticist in Chicago. And he said, he called us and was laughing and said, that's a good one. You almost had me. He thought it was a practical joke. And he said, no. He said, now you told him this was a husband and wife doctor team. He said, I told him, and she told him, no, the test results of the man, the man's test results that you're holding, that you're reading right now, is sitting in our office. And they said that he told them, he said, if you're telling me the truth, he said, and these are his test results, he says, then the one sitting in your office is not a man. They told me that, and it felt like I was in a movie, And I said, not a man, not human. And I said, oh, well. And they said, the man, the male doctor, the husband, he said, he says, there is no known he said, by all known biological, medical, and scientific standards, he said there is no way that, he said that I could even classify you as a human. And I said, well, then what am I? He said, we don't know. We don't know. And man, that really hit me hard. I was like, wow, that's, okay. But, it's like, well, it's weird because, it's like, okay, how do you, how do you even approach this? Because this really happened. So it's like, okay, well, you don't go to some counselor and they open a book and they're like, okay, where do we find the best advice to give someone who's not human? It's just, it's crazy. And it's like, but the mood changed to where they kept their distance and they weren't as friendly. They were literally scared, and I don't know why. I don't know what took place. I don't know if they saw something I didn't. I truthfully believe that they saw something in my genetic makeup or genetic markers, which genetic makeup said results anomalous, alien, and then it said genetic markers unknown, and I believe it also said alien or something like that. It was freaky, weird. My then wife, she leaned over and she whispered to me. She said, "I'm really starting to feel very uncomfortable." And I said, "Yeah, I am too." It's almost like they, it's like they were fearful, so it's like they were, I don't know, they were just acting very, very, I don't know, covertly, I guess, secretly. So we thanked them for everything. We left. So, let's see. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take your questions, and you can just be thinking about this. Ask yourself, what is it? What do you think, in your opinion, could be going on with the Rh negative blood? And, just use your imagination. Use what you think could be the what they're worried about. That's true, Randy. Maybe they weren't sure of how I would react. You say also people are scared of what they don't know. Yes, and this is a husband, wife. They're fertility experts. They have people from all over the world come fly to them, and their success rate is very high. And I guess for them to, come across me, which they had never experienced before, was really shocking to them, and it did show. But when we come back, just be thinking about possible different reasons on what could be happening within the blood type. Is there some kind of changes going on? Is there some kind of an awakening of maybe latent DNA? And if so, what could that be? And it's weird. Yes, Doc, you say our true history is hidden, but why? Well, I myself, I have been told that no one knows, that it just appeared seemingly overnight in Europe. And when I say overnight, we're talking through the span of since cavemen, hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah, well, it would be overnight, in that time span. You had people that had blue, green, or hazel eyes and very pale skin appear, to where everybody had brown eyes and brown hair and tanned and got along with the sun. And then you have these people that show up and they're different, completely different. Anyway, we'll take a short break. We will be right back in 3 minutes.
Let's make a run together. I'll be by your side before we collide. And if the sky falls down on you, just beat it up before we collide. Let's make it last forever. I'm ready to fly before we collide. And when the sun don't shine on you, just heat it up before we collide. Let's make a run together, I'll be by your side before we collide. And if the sky falls down on you, just beat it up before we collide. When we collide, let's make it last forever. I'm ready to fly before we collide. When we collide, and when the sun don't shine on you, just heat it up before we collide.
And I am back. So I think that that one of the fears, one of the concerns is that when we talk about blood types, and the Bible it says that the life is in the blood, it's actually talking about the DNA, and it's the very life force. And like I said, I believe that since our DNA has a crystalline structure, it crystals, they hold certain energies. So what if our DNA truly has genetic memory, and it's passed down from our ancestors, And what if the 97% of our DNA that's considered junk DNA, just because it's not understood, what if something took place, or something happened to where some of that, or a lot of that, or all of that 97% was activated? What then? Well, when the Bible talks about the Nephilim, those who fell, talks about the giants, I don't really believe that it's speaking so much as a physical giant. I think it's speaking of the people of a name, the people of renown, the heroes of old. And if you think about it, they were like normal sized people, and people were asking questions. Where does he get this strength from? Well, let's face it. I mean, if you're 13 feet tall and and you weigh 700 pounds or whatever, it's going to be pretty obvious where you get your power. But if you're a normal sized person and you know certain ways how to manipulate great weights, and you knew how to form a vacuum, or you knew how to use gravity or the planet to levitate these stones and things,
Well, yeah, you'd be running around like flipping on your fingers, and people would think that you were lifting them, with strength. Well, when the Bible talks about these were the men of renown, the men of a name, then that tells me that they were. It sounds like that they were part of a clan, for lack of a better word. They were a group, men of a name, men of renown, the heroes of old. So it's more of a spiritual knowledge that they had than just brute strength. That you say our true history is hidden, but why? Well, like I said, I've been told that it's just unknown. No one knows, but someone should know. And Randy, you have a very good question. Any idea when the different people showed up? Well, some say that about 35,000 years ago, seemingly overnight, boom, this pops up. And when that had never been seen before on Earth. But just to be sure, let me do a quick search here and find out exactly, let's see. Okay, here we go. Well, all right. Okay. It says that the more studies that are conducted, that it's saying 35,000 years ago. And that it first appeared in Europe. What this says. Let's see. But the highest concentration is in northern Spain, southern France. And it is actually not just a different blood type. It is a different species. It's a different human species. It's a different species other than human. They just don't know what it is. Okay. Boy, it's hard to find. It's hard to find good information, because most of it is people are just going off on tangents and Okay. Okay, so that would be it. Anyway, Randy said we all discussed a while ago that we all have Celtic blood, Celtic blood. Well, that's the second highest is Scotland is the second highest, and on my dad's side, 100% Scottish. That's why that I, the sun's not my friend. I mean, I'm cast for the friendly ghost. I mean, I burn like a vampire, in the sun. So, Dot, you say, here's a little trivia for you, Randy. The Georgia Guidestones has a population 500 million. It just so happens that the RH negative are roughly 500 million. Now, I don't know if that pertains to us, but it does seem strange to me. Yes, it does. People, they seem to think that, when they're talking about the RH negatives, that anybody that's RH negative wants to rule the world, or wants to dominate the world, wants to take the world over. You know what? I don't even want to unify the world. And Dot, that's something that I've said and I've explained on here before, and I will explain it again. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. It's the way I see it. And for those of you that are listening that aren't taking part in the chat, is don't let that word unity or unification catch you off guard. Because when they talk about uniting, let's all come together and, yeah, how about you count me out of that? Because there's okay, Randy. Stonehenge. Read under my comment about Celtic blood. Okay. Let's see. What was I talking about? I'm sorry. I just completely went blank. No idea. I just drew blank. Man, I can't. Randy, do you remember what I was? Okay. Yes. So thank you. People ruling the world. I thank you, Randy. I think that that they will promise peace and safety. Okay, that's how they're going to rule the world. That's how they're going to unify the world. They already rule it. It's the beast system that rules it. Of course, they don't call it that, but you are, yes, don't let that word fool you, because that is nothing more than word manipulation. Unification? No, don't do it. Do not. It's that is exactly what they want. They will promise peace and safety because, let's face it, the masses have more power than they do. So they can't come in by brute force and take down everybody. Now, they have to manipulate people's minds to make them do what? To make them go along, to get along, to make them believe that they're doing the right thing and lead them to the slaughter, such as unification. Well, let's have world unity and peace and safety, a new world order. Hey, how about not? What if I like this way that we're doing it now better than, uniting with everyone? Okay, we have a problem here. We have a problem here with this, with this thorn in our side, because he seems to like this way better than what we have planned. Yes, and I will have a problem with it even after death, so deal with it. I hate that deception. I hate that manipulation. But that's what they're going to do. They can't have, they may try it anyway, but can't even have UN troops come and force people to do what they want. They're going to have to deceive them. They're going to have to manipulate them. Have to get them to believe a lie. And the best way to do that is to make them believe they're doing the right thing. And the world unification, it sounds pretty par for the course to me. And by the way, the highest UN consulate sits on the summit of Mount Hermon, the mountain of oath, where it's been said that the 200 watcher angels made their oath together and went down off of the mountain to choose among the wives of men who they would take and who they would have children by, who they would have sex with and have children by. Yeah. It's the highest UN consulate, consulate in the world, the summit of Mount Hermon. Yeah. Where the Bible talks about, that's where the origin of the angel-human hybrid originated from, is from their sin, taking on human form, taking on flesh. And the reason that they will never be forgiven and will always will forever pay the price is because they were born of fire. They were born of spirit, of on a higher level. They knew better, but they allowed their lust to overcome their advanced intelligence, their advanced just everything that they were so powerful. How were they brought down? By their own lust, which kind of makes me feel a little better when you think about Dr. Geordie Rose of CERN and DWAVE talking about these ancient ones, the old ones. He says they're like the old ones of H.P. Lovecraft. He said some people call them demons, some people call them angels. He said they're neither. They're not good or bad. He said they simply don't give a shit about humans. He said they're so advanced, they're so much more powerful. He said they view humans as we do ants. And, well, you know what? It doesn't matter what you call them. What matters is what they are. And I know what they are, So don't give me that double talk and, But it's like I said with the shows that we did, I could care less about how intelligent they are, how powerful they are. There's more than one way to, win a war, win a battle, win a fight. And it's not always, it's very rarely, direct, head to head. Not for me. Even physically, I'm going to be moving. I'm not going to be stationary. I'm not going to stand there as a target. I'm going to be hard to hit. Spiritually, same way. And but just to think that the Watchers, that they fell, they were brought low, basically destroyed themselves because of lust. Well, you can have all the power in the world. You can be so much more powerful than, human beings. But you know what? Not even angels can escape lust. So they may be powerful, they may be super intelligent, much more advanced than us, but they're not invincible. So that's my take on it. That's right. Get everyone in one spot, easy target. Well, that's what the Bible says. It says Jesus says, when they promise you peace and safety, run for the hills. He's like, that's because when they promise you that, you're going to get the opposite. You're about to get the opposite. Or they're going to lull you into a sense that you have peace and security, that you let your guard down. And you start going, hey, you know what? Oh, that darned old government that I thought was so evil, you know what? They're pretty good guys. Yeah, you ever hear me talking like that? Shoot me. Because I've obviously lost it. I can't stand politics. I can't stand religion. But I love spirituality. So, yeah. And both, when it comes right down to it, both are probably the one and the same. All they're interested in is money, 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 and me, me, me. So, and manipulating people. Yep. Wanting to bring us together, to keep us together, to annihilate us together. Manipulation of the air, water, food. That's right. Our systems throughout the world have been infiltrated. That's right. And do you know, not just our leaders, not just our civic leaders, government leaders, our spiritual leaders. Truthfully, most churches today, you might as well have an atheist. You might as well have an atheist in the pulpit. These people, there's very few that actually truthfully believe that there's a literal source, that there's a literal creator, that there's a higher spiritual, well, some even denied that there's a spirit. Talking to them one-on-one, but they get up and they preach it and teach it because that's how they make their money. Yeah. Infiltrated. And in a lot of these mega churches, some of the dramas that they act out and they put on, it's got so much occult symbolism in it that it's sickening. It's taking place in a church, for God's sake. It's like, who's running the show here? Oh, you're Pastor Cipher. I bet your first name's Lou, right? Hey, Lucifer, caught you. I'm kidding. It's like, I mean, that would probably be, about right. Although Lucifer is just Latin for Venus, the planet Venus, so. But it does mean light bringer, and light is knowledge, and darkness is ignorance, lack of knowledge. So what did the serpent do to Eve in the Garden of Eden? He tempted her with what? With knowledge. He tempted her with light. Your eyes will be opened, and you'll know good and evil, because you'll be out of the darkness you're in. Well, he wasn't exactly lying to her, was he? I mean, he was telling her the truth. Because after they did what they did, the Bible says, and they knew good and evil. They knew good from evil. They knew good and evil after they tasted the fruit. So serpent wasn't lying to them about that. Which is really amazing. I mean, when you think about it. Because a lot of people believe that, it was just out and out lies. No, it really wasn't. But it was a very, very methodical, subtle manipulation of the will by the way he spoke and what he said. Because the word serpent in Hebrew is nakash, which means enchanter or whisperer. And that's why the spoken word is so powerful. What you say has a lot of power. Words can heal, words can kill. They can start wars, and they can end wars. When you think about it, that's why that the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was God, and the Word was with God. It was the source himself, and it was outside the source. Everything. And God said, and God said, and God said, and there was, and there was, and there was. Yeah, everything is by what is spoken. Jesus said, not one jot, not one tittle will be left out of what is to come until Scripture has been fulfilled. No crossing of the T or dotting of the I will be left out. What is Scripture? It's the written copy of the spoken word. And the Jewish Kabbalah means to speak, pass down orally, not write it down, but memorize it. Yes, so there's a lot of power there. A lot of power. Anyway, when you read in the book of Revelation, which that can be taken in so many different ways. It's actually a it's an exercise in patience to even read it, much less try to interpret what it's saying. But one thing is when it talks about the seven churches and 7 candlesticks, 7 stars. Well, I believe it's talking about the 7 chakras. It's talking about, the root chakra, the solar plexus, the crown chakra. It's all symbolism for the chakras, for the spinning vortexes of energy within our spirits, bodies, whatever. Much symbolism, but it does talk about a world system, a political, religious system where both are enforced, both become one, and it rules the world. And 20 years ago, there was no way that I could have imagined how every person would be tracked by what they bought, by what they did, by what they said, by what, It's believable now, for the most part. Just access your cell phone records. Access your records, online. What you've typed, what you've done, what you've said. And, your phone, might be turned off and you can still be monitored. Hell, they could probably monitor you from satellite. Best thing is to stay under the radar if you can. Anyway, with this with this beast system, it says that that each person will be forced to take the mark, which that word mark is actually chip. So go figure. Chip of the beast or whatever, mark of the beast, or the number of his name, 666, 666, or 666. CERN's logo is plainly, it's 666. You can see that. It's CERN is the place where the World Wide Web, the internet, was created. And when the Bible says that they will receive the number of his name in their forehead or their right hand, in Jewish gematria, there are Hebrew letters that have a numerical equivalent. And just so happens that the letter V or the letter W, which are both basically the same letter, they have a numerical value of 6. So when you're sitting in front of your computer and you're typing www in, you're typing 666 in every time. When you look at your monitor when you're typing, it's as plain as day. Look at your reflection of your face. You're typing 666 on the reflection of your forehead. You're doing it. Because it's you that has to make the choice. You know, no one can make the choice for you. It's you that makes the choice to submit to that system. And if you don't, then, you know, it says that they take your physical life, but your spiritual life, you're safe, you know, forever. So, and if when you're typing in the www or 666, where's most people's right hand? It's on the mouse. If you're left-handed, you're typing in on your head. Yeah. So, it's pretty interesting when you think about it. And again, where was the internet? Where was it created? CERN. Yes. Revelation 9:11 talks about the bottomless pit being opened, and there came a demon called Abaddon in the Hebrew. In the Greek, it's called Apollyon. You know, Apollyon. Where CERN has the Large Hadron Collider, it is buried on what was it is buried on an ancient sacred site of the god Apollo. Okay, again, Revelation 9:11 speaks about the destroyer. That's what Apollyon means, is the destroyer. Yeah. And then when you look at CERN's main statue, it's of Shiva, the Indian god of destruction, total destruction. I mean, wearing a necklace of human skulls, for God's sake. Okay, can someone please tell me why you would have the goddess of destruction, total destruction, as your main statue? And they say, well, it was a gift from the country of India. Really? Because on that statue, it doesn't say that it's a gift. No. Instead, it tells in detail about this, about Shiva's destructive power. Yeah. Total destruction. Okay, let's say that they were to, I'm just saying, let's say that they were to somehow create a black hole. Hello, can you say total destruction? Yeah, that's pretty much what it would be. It would happen pretty quick. But again, and please just let me know what you think about this. Is when you go on YouTube and you listen to Geordie Rose, R-O-S-E, Geordie Rose, who is the founder of DWAVE Quantum Computing. 2 years ago, 2016, well, mid-2016, he gave a speech, I believe it was at TED Talks, I'm not sure, but he gave a speech to where he talked about how quantum computing works and how it's able to reach into other dimensions and pull, he says, we tend to think that we're just living here in this dimension, this time, this reality, whatever you want to call it. He says, but truth is we're not just here. Every possible thing that could happen is happening in endless other dimensions that are just a little bit different than the one we're in right now, which brings a lot of questions in play, but I'm not going to address that right now. What I'm talking about is, let's say that you got up this morning at 7:30, okay, or 6:30. Okay, well, in another dimension, another parallel reality, you got up at 8, or you got up at, instead of 6:30, you got up at 7. Okay, well, that changes everything. Then in another, you stayed in bed that day. In another, you didn't get up at all. You died. In another, you didn't exist to begin with. Which, how would you even exist? See, that's where everything's flipped on its head. The end becomes the beginning is the end. How many of you have ever seen the symbol of the snake swallowing its tail? That is knowledge hidden in plain sight. That is the powers that be. They're telling you that there's more going on than meets the eye. That there's life continues. Life is going on. It's never ending. It's not just happening here, but it's happening in endless other dimensions that are just like stacked, very, very close to ours. Matter of fact, Geordie Rose went so far as to say that, just like I suspected, our somehow knew, saw it as they're so close together that they sometimes overlap. Well, what's that? I mean, what happens when they overlap? That's when you see things you're not supposed to see, because they're not from here. They're from the other reality. They're from the neighboring dimension. That's when you see ghosts. That's when you see shadow people. That's when you see demons. That's when you see, they're overlapping. They're pressing into this dimension, and we see them with our physical eyes when we're not supposed to. Make sense? Yeah, I think it does. It makes perfect sense to me. Anyway, let me
check on this portal that supposed to be. I got a message from a friend who keeps up with this. I just want to check it really fast. Okay, Galactic portal days. Well, okay, let's see. This is the 6th. Okay. I don't know what I'll do. I'll look up, check the, let's see. Well, okay. It says January 6, 2019. I'm not really finding anything about a portal. Portal, if you want to, you can check that out. I mean, it would not surprise me if that turned out to be the case, but I'm just not finding it right now. Well, but it does say that there are 52 Galactic activation portal days. Now, I don't know anything about that, so. Okay. Right here it says January 6th, planetary link up at noon. Thrival. Article not found. Imagine that. Okay. But this these portals, there's another one that's going to be opening. It says either on January 17th or 16th and January 20th. So I know January 17th is a very important, very powerful day in, guess where? Southern France and northern Spain, where the highest population of RH negative people live and originate from. See, that makes full circle. I mean, it's so amazing that it always goes back to that. But anyway, Randy, you say, did our friend say anything about the effects of this portal getting ready to open? Yes, she did. And she said it was going to be a doozy. She said the best advice that she could give is to observe it, but do not absorb it, because it's going to be really bad. She said, Randy says, I've been feeling off. I can go into more detail in a personal chat. I know at least part of it is the really cold weather. Yes. I'm going to get a vitamin D supplement, like I was told to, because sometimes I listen, a little rebel. Yeah, but yeah, that's I have to say, I mean, that is I can feel something. It's like I told Mona for about 2 weeks. So man, there's something that's just like really pressing. I said it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's just, I can feel it coming, and it's like, what what is it? I mean, it's not pleasant. It's like gloom, like gloomy, and what is it? And I said it's not here. I said, but it's coming. I said, and just that is giving off negativity big time. So if whatever it is, even if it's the entities that Geordie Rose talked about that are on their way, you know what? Let's get this party started. Let's get it over with. Yeah, I don't have time to sit and talk about what I'm going to do or this and that. Let's just get it over with. Sooner the better. See, I've noticed myself recoiling, pulling back, shutting myself off from the world, not reaching out to people I usually talk to on a regular basis. Yeah, Lane ran that self-preservation. Yeah. Well, also sounds very similar to depression. Have you talked to your doctor or been feeling depressed? I mean, is it could it be that, or is it something with your body, physically, that might be bringing you down? Are you getting enough sleep? But it still sounds a lot like depression. It's not a good thing. But yes, see. Well, okay. Well, you don't feel depressed, but you say, I don't usually sleep. Yes. Well, you can't go without sleep. You break down every time. Look up symptoms of extreme sleep deprivation, or just regular sleep deprivation. See if you match a lot of it. Just more keeping to yourself. Well, my question about that would be, is it a healthy keeping to yourself? Are you talking about me time, or are you talking about you're isolating yourself, which would be unhealthy? And are you are you, shutting yourself off from everyone? Meaning those closest to you, or are you right? Yeah. So it sounds like to me. Has your are you getting enough nutrition? Has your appetite changed dramatically? Are you eating more, or are you barely eating? Are you exhausted, sleeping more than usual? Which you already said that you don't. On rare occasions, it can you can actually get a boost instead of being sleepy all the time. But most of the time, you're crazy sleepy. Just. Right. Yep. And the bad thing about that is that when you're tired, you drink coffee and or some kind of stimulant. It works for a short amount of time, but then you drop lower. Right. Yeah, that's a big one. Hormones. Oof. And you suffer from seasonal affective disorder. So, it very well sounds like depression to me. But, that would just, but since it's this portal or whatever, it's basically, she said that it would that what you put into it is what you would get out of it. Kind of like your reflection. What you are is what you're going to get. And all you ladies here, y'all are going to get beautiful things, because y'all are some beautiful mamas. I don't even know why where did that accent come from? I sound like a redneck from Texas. Well, I'm from Texas, but I'm not a redneck. Okay. That was my Def Comedy Jam for my 10-second Def Comedy Jam. And I think I did that. That redneck hick accent a little bit too well. I said that I was told by this friend. I'm not gonna name her name because I didn't ask her if it was okay to reference her, but she said that that the best thing would be to just observe and not absorb this portal, what comes from it. She said because she said that but she said on the other hand, she said what she said it would be a chance to build instead of to gain instead of lose. Kind of like she said that it would depend on what you are yourself, it would be a reflection of what you are. And I said, well, in that case, I said, then all you ladies that are on here, y'all are going to get beautiful things out of it. Because y'all are all some beautiful mamas. And I'm like, where did that accent come from? Anyway, yeah, that was my attempt at my comedy hour. It was like 10 seconds of it. Anyway, so that Geordie Rose, when he's talking just matter-of-factly about, well, yeah, Toby Keith, oh my gosh, that's just, that's so creepy, because it's like you're watching a movie. You're watching like a sci-fi movie, you know, but you're not. I mean, you're watching this guy that's, you know, he's not kidding. And he's saying, matter-of-factly, he's saying, you know, yes, he says, he says, we tend to, you know, view ourselves as just living in this time. He says, but, you know, we're living in endless time, endless timelines, endless parallel realities. And he says, and what quantum computing does, not what it's going to do, what it does is it reaches into, not that it's able to, but it reaches into these other dimensions and takes the information out, takes the answers out, and brings the solutions back here in this dimension. Which makes you wonder about things like missing time. Or, you know, times when you seriously, you lose time. Where'd it go? Well, if there's other parallel realities that we're living in, then each one of those could have a quantum computer that are taking things out of the other ones. So could that be an explanation? I believe so. I mean, it seems crazy, but it's really not. You know, when you think about it. Well, that's Randy. That's one thing that that can really, really affect you is the cold weather. You know, winter's not a fun time for me. So I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, I prefer it to summer any day, time here in Texas. But it can really mess with you. Oh, well, that's very kind, Doc. Very much so. That's right. Absolutely. And she said that it could be good or bad. That it's, you know, what you put into it. Which if you think about it, there is no true negative or positive energy. It's all neutral. It's how people use it. It's what they put into it. Yes, Elaine, absolutely. Yep. And when was that blood moon? because that was when I think that's when you were approved for your surgery, right? Oh, January 20th. Okay. Well, I did not know anything about it either. But yes, I found like one or two things about it online. Just have to check more, but something about let's see, Saturn and Pluto are in conjunction or something. Let me get what was actually she actually sent. Portal opening tonight. It's a strong one. Protect yourself. I asked her, do you have any links to detailed information about it? Nothing that really explains it, just an astrological thing. Doesn't say much about it, but I've been feeling it since around Christmas. Every eclipse opens a portal, and there's another on the 20th. So, yes, Dot. I think that it's worldwide. And I just asked her. I said, what do you feel about it? She said, very weird energy. I've been having some super weird people coming into my life, like they're wanting to drain me. I know that sounds weird, but it's so true. Another person says they've been abducted by aliens. Another couple wants me to come over to their home to do spiritual work, but it feels very off. Something is super off. So, of course, then I told her about doing the shows on the blood type, and I said, and now I said people are having getting a warning or alert. They're trying to contact me. I said, so that's go figure. So I was just saying that if there was a portal or something, that it really wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it'd be about par for the course. But I guess the one on the 20th is going to be a very, very big one. I don't know. But we'll take about 5 more minutes, and then we'll call it a night. So if you have any questions or any comments that you'd like to make, or whatever, one thing is the next show that we have. I want to will be talking about the blueprint of the zodiac, what I call the 12-13 blueprint, and how that it affects affects a lot of things, life as we know it, and from it's the old quote, as above so below, as below so below as above, mirror images, reflections, kind of like this portal that we're talking about. And there's certain things that must happen in each one, and they do. It's like there's a certain there's 12 people, and then there's one that must go away, and then there's two that take that person's place, and then this is gonna sound weird, but then the person that was taken away comes back as the conqueror. And so that's where you have 13 instead of the original 12. With the zodiac, with the 12 zodiac signs, you have one that's hidden, Ophiuchus, the serpent handler, and it just happens to be in front of, or at the gates of, the largest black hole in our galaxy. So could that be like the bottomless pit? Yeah, that would be a pretty good candidate. But we'll discuss that. We will get into that, about how that really affects. It's really, really fascinating, and I've got a lot of notes on it. Hell, I was just really into it. I mean, it's like I worked on it today for like 6 hours, and it seemed like I'd just been sitting there an hour. And I'm like, wow, this has really been interesting, just captivating. But yeah, we will talk about that, and see, Elaine, you say there will be a super blood wolf moon and a total lunar eclipse. You said this one will be a super blood wolf moon and a total lunar eclipse. Okay. A wolf moon? I don't know what that is. I'm not very knowledgeable with astrology, so kind of have to explain that to me. Now, is there a chance I might bite someone, like latch onto their leg or something? Because, I don't want that to happen. Oh, okay. January full moon is called the wolf moon. Okay, I didn't know that. And that's on the 20th, along with the portal opening. Wouldn't surprise me if it was. Yes. Yeah, we had, gosh, there's been a lot of blood moons. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's going to be interesting. So we can next show we can talk about that too. Three supermoons for the next 3 months, which would be 9 nines. Well, there's something about that. There's something to be said about that. 9 nines. That's it's got to have some meaning. But yeah, definitely we need to talk about that, because that's interesting. I don't know, it just seems like there's more there than meets the eye, and I'm sure there is. But anyway, we'll just want to thank you all for taking part, joining, and for your input. And yeah, this is something that sounds good. Sounds very exciting. Supermoons and blood moons, and the three supermoons for the next 3 months. Sounds like there's you just feel it. You just feel. I feel like that this year's going to be better than last year. I just feel, I mean, we're here we are 6 days in this year. It already feels better. Dot, you say, thank you. I'm terrible for talking a lot. Sorry, it's too much. Oh, absolutely not. No. Both of you talk all you want. You're not talking too much at all. I enjoy it. And Dot, I have a Facebook group called the Spiritual Advancement Society that Randy, Elaine, usually, well, let's see who all was here tonight. Nezreen, Mona, which is my fiance. They're all Zippy. They're all a part, Tina. They're all a part of the Spiritual Advancement Society group. We actually call it our family, friends that have become family, and it is all about spirituality, not religion, no politics, just spirituality, and basically what we talked about. Society, the Spiritual Advancement Society, and it's a closed group. So, but I can add you as a friend. I can send you a friend request, and then I can add you to the group if you would like to be. We would like to have you. It's a small group. It's about 140. Well, I think it's 143 now, so you'd be 144. Go figure that. 144. But actually, out of the 143, only, and this is something that I was going to save for next show, but it just keeps on, time after time. There's like exactly 12 people that take part. 13 if I include myself. Now, I just got through telling you about the zodiac
and about how that's a blueprint, that's a pattern that's followed. You have Jacob and his 12 sons, which becomes Isaac, and the 12 sons of Isaac. Oh, okay. All right. I will add you as soon as we get off here. There were 12 disciples. That's what I was going to say. With Jesus, Joseph was a prototype, was a blueprint of Jesus. He was put in a pit by his brethren and left to die. Jesus descended into the pit, hell, for 3 days, 3 nights. Joseph was presumed dead. And if you want to look at it, in the way that it's meant to be looked at, Joseph rose from the dead, and his 2 sons took his place. That's why there's 13. But with Joseph being the hidden son, and then, but his brothers were forced into Egypt, but they saw him, but they didn't recognize him until he revealed himself to them. Same way with Jesus. Jesus resurrected. The disciples are on the Emmaus Road. He walks up to them, and they don't recognize him until he reveals himself to them. So it's not always pretty, because let's face it, Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, they left him there to die. Jesus was crucified, betrayed, but there again, there's that pattern. There's that. It's the one. Well, with the 12 sons of Jacob, 12 tribes of Israel, even the 12 disciples, they each one of their personalities is a blueprint of each sign of the zodiac. And the serpent handler would be Jesus, which is the 13th sign, the hidden sign, that is over or in front of the largest black hole in our galaxy. Okay, Jesus said, just as Jonah was in the belly of the fish for, so the Son of Man will descend into the earth, into hell, 3 days, 3 nights. Why? Just so I can conquer it. And he did. But it wasn't pleasant. So, what does that mean? Well, I believe that the 12 that take place in the group are that's who I consider family, friends who have literally become family because we're so close. I mean, and I've talked to everyone, talked to all 12, and everyone has said, it's like I have always known you, and it's like I've always known the rest of, the rest of those that take part, the rest of those that participate. And I believe that each of the 12 corresponds to sign of the zodiac. Now, that's not to say, because I know somebody's going to say, well, who's Judas? No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, there's, it's not like that, but nevertheless, even in our group, I just feel like that's something that I feel like that the 12, I said 13 including myself, we all work off of each other in a powerful way, and it's like amplified. But even in that small, in our group, even then, there's, well, I'll just put it this way. It doesn't matter what the setting, there's always one that has to go away for a time. There's always one that has to be cast off. Joseph, why? Because if that hadn't happened, all of his brothers would have died in the famine. And his father would have died in the famine. Jesus, if Jesus hadn't gone away, if Jesus hadn't did what he did, we all would, there would be no hope for any of us. That's one thing that doesn't change. And Joseph was his father's favorite, and he was the most loving, and was the most spiritual. Jesus, Jesus was, the Son of God, but he was also God himself. It's always the strongest. It's always the strongest. It's always, they don't send someone to do the job on their behalf. They do it themselves. It's like that would be like the commander-in-chief, the president, the commander-in-chief, instead of sacrificing someone for the betterment to save the many. Well, it's actually it's the sacrificial king. The king doesn't send a soldier to die in battle to save the many. The king does it himself. And not just the king, but if you read scripture, if you read the spiritual text, the not just spiritual text, but you read the esoteric texts like King Arthur. King Arthur and the Round Table. How many? 13, including King Arthur. Yes. There's always that number. There's always that. There's 12, and then there's 13. And Randy say, and I've been kicking myself about disappearing acts in the group lately. Now I think I've got something in my eye. I got something in my eye earlier, and it was not good. But yes, think about that. About that. There's a lot of power. Well, there's a lot of knowledge there. So, well, Elaine, good night, and I just want to say that I'm going to call it a night here. It's almost 4 o'clock, but anyway, thanks everybody for being here. Love and light to you all. Love you all. We'll see you next time. Good night.